IBMers by day, rockers by night, Mind the Gap has pushed boundaries and ignited fans around the country. Let's take a look at what makes this band tick on this edition of Beyond the Music.
When it comes to Mind the Gap, these guys live their music. They are rock and roll. They're the real deal.
What you have to realize about the Mind the Gap band is that these guys were revolutionary.
I started playing the drums when I was 8 years old.
I kind of dabbled when I was a kid. My family was always really musically inclined.
Growing up in the Bronx, in the disco era, on the musical side of rock, but kind of was pulled in by the funk.
Bronx bombing bass player Jerry Cuomo, guitarist Adolfo Rodriguez, bad boy Barry MOSAKOWSKI on drums, vocalist Mark Haberkorn, and electric shredder Stan Cox on lead guitar make up Mind the Gap, one of the most exciting bands of our time.
Why the name Mind the Gap? No one could ever figure that out.
Mind the Gap is not your typical rock band. With all the proceeds going to charity, Mind the Gap has rocked their way into our hearts.
Watch your step, watch the people around you, and that's what we do in Mind the Gap.
We all come from very different backgrounds.
It's always been difficult to categorize the band because they're influenced by so many different genres.
We're all kind of different, musically, we like different things, anything from country to funk.
Climbing to the upper echelons of rock stardom, Mind the Gap needed a way to document where their hits were played so they could get royalty payments.
We were pulling stats in these kind of spreadsheets and documents.
We didn't know who was listening, how much they were listening to,
We joined BMI, the largest music rights organization. They track when our music gets played publicly and ensure we get paid. Of course, we turn around and then donate that to charity.
BMI processes over 1 trillion transactions annually. With help from IBM Smarter process and BPM, BMI keeps up with all this data efficiently to drive simplicity.
The way I see it, if it's good enough for the biggest acts out there like Taylor Swift, Maroon 5, then it's good enough for Mind the Gap.
So with BMI, we've taken this paper and we've just gotten rid of it. And now we're kind of building on real analytics and real insights.
With their music performance identification and administrative services taken care of through BMI and Smarter processes, one thing is certain, we have a lot to look forward to from Mind the Gap in the future. Up next on Beyond the Music, we talk with Taylor Swift to hear how her newest album was influenced by Mind the Gap.